Hey guys, back talking about another Nicolas Cage movie. This time I'm reviewing the 1984 movie Racing with the Moon. I actually recorded a review of this movie like 4 months ago. I filmed the entire thing and then my camera stopped working. And then I just lost all motivation. But here's take 2. And as a consolation for having to wait for so long, I even made a theme song for you.
Despite all his rage, he's still just Nicolas Cage. Despite all his rage, he's still just Nicolas Cage. And someone will say his career can never be saved. Despite all his rage, he's still just Nicolas Cage.
Okay, so Racing with the Moon takes place in 1942. Sean Penn and Nicolas Cage are best friends, and they have 6 weeks until they ship out to fight in the war. The two of them get into all sorts of hijinks, but Sean Penn ends up dating Elizabeth McGovern's character, who he presumes is rich, but she actually isn't. And Nicolas Cage gets a girl pregnant and he's trying to raise money to get an abortion for her. So right off the bat I want to talk about the best part of this movie, and that's Nicolas Cage. Nick Cage plays the supporting role once again here. He doesn't have a giant amount of screen time, but he steals pretty much every scene he's in. Nicolas Cage is definitely having a lot more fun here than the other films I've reviewed so far. He plays it kinda over the top, but not too cartoonish. And it makes sense for the character to be this goofy. I mean, he's going off to war soon, so he's kind of making the most of it by acting a bit crazy, getting it all out of his system. The best scene in the movie is when Nicolas Cage and Sean Penn are just hammered drunk, and they go into a tattoo parlor, and Cage asks this guy for a tattoo of an eagle, which he calls the bird of freedom, and he wants it on his chest. And he says something like, "Hey man, just wait till they see me on my eagle charging over the hill." And the image of that is just so funny to me. What, Nicolas Cage is going to be shirtless with a dumb eagle tattoo on him, charging over the hill towards soldiers. The rest of that tattoo scene is pretty good too, because the tattooist does the right thing and he doesn't give Nicolas Cage the tattoo because it's ridiculous. But Nicolas Cage isn't happy about it and starts arguing. It's just a really well done scene because it's funny. It also highlights the naivety of this character who's going to go off to war. My other favorite Nicolas Cage moment that's just straight up funny is where Nicolas Cage is at the bowling alley where him and Sean Penn work. And their job is to set up the pins like the old school way before there was a machine to do it. Which, as a side note, was actually kind of interesting to see. But anyway, there's a moment where Nicolas Cage just starts randomly singing into a mop. And he just gets so into it, and the scene goes on for about a minute of just Nicolas Cage singing.
Tangerine, when she dances by, Senorita stare and Caballeros sigh.
And when he's done singing, he just does this weird little dance, and it's awesome. Even though, like I said, there are some pretty funny parts in the movie, a lot of the other comedic scenes kind of fall flat. It tries to go for slapstick sometimes, like Sean Penn is at the library and he knocks over the bookcases. Those parts were just pretty stupid to me. Especially because it's a movie that has really dark moments too, concerning the war and abortion and stuff. So some of the wacky parts felt a little bit disjointed. There's a couple of familiar faces that pop up as cameos in the movie. Crispin Glover, George McFly, pops up briefly at the start. And he was also in that failed TV pilot with Nicolas Cage that I reviewed earlier. Well, the other big cameo you have is Michael Madsen. And the scene with him is probably the only scene not involving Nicolas Cage that I really liked. So Sean Penn is making light of the war and he's making jokes about it. So he's taken to meet a few soldiers that have already been injured in the war. And Michael Madsen's character is missing a leg. And him and Sean Penn have a short conversation. And Sean Penn keeps calling him sir, even though they're like a similar age. It's actually a really well executed, poignant scene. A lot of the movie concerns Sean Penn and Elizabeth McGovern's relationship. And it becomes a straightforward, like, romance movie at some points. And even though the two give a pretty good performance, it's just not very interesting and it takes up too much of the movie. Also, spoiler alert, the movie ends with Cage and Penn heading off to war. I mean, that's what the premise of the movie is. And at first I kind of wanted a sort of freeze frame with a caption to pop up saying what happened to the characters. You know, like an Animal House. But honestly, it's obviously a way better decision to leave it ambiguous. Something tells me that neither of these characters are gonna survive in World War II. Also, Nicolas Cage and Sean Penn have both subsequently been in World War II movies. You know, Cage in Windtalkers and Penn in Thin Red Line. So you could almost treat those movies like the epilogue to this one. Overall, I like this movie a lot more than I thought I would. All the performances are good, but yeah, Nicolas Cage in particular is really, really entertaining in it. I can't say I loved the film as a whole, and to be honest, it did drag in places. But there are individual standout scenes that I really enjoyed. Of all the Nicolas Cage movies I've reviewed so far, this is probably the best one, and it's the one I'd recommend the most. So that's Racing with the Moon. Up next is a Francis Ford Coppola movie called Cotton Club. And until next time guys, thanks for watching.